Now, starting the test drive in this Camry XSE V6. The V6 is pretty strong, and I like how it shifts, especially if you want to put it in a sport mode, use the paddle shifters. You can get a nice, like a real sports car, I think, out of this with 301 horsepower, 267 pound-feet of torque. It just feels like something you should have on a NASCAR track. Not necessarily something that's that quick, but you know, the Camry is I think it's still a NASCAR, and that's kind of where I get that. I feel like that this, just for the average driver, gets a name that's deserving of a NASCAR, if that makes sense. Because this is fun to drive. Even the 4-cylinder with paddle shifters is fun to drive, but especially this V6, it is sporty. And of course, you get the sport tuned suspension. You get a traditional transmission that you can shift, not a CVT. And I'm very appreciative of Toyota for keeping it real when it comes to that, because the Malibus that are still out, those have CVTs. I think the Accord has a CVT now. The Altima definitely has a CVT. So having something like this with just a traditional transmission that's still getting about as good gas mileage as you can expect in the segment, I'm just proud of Toyota for what they've done with this car. Now, with the sport tuned suspension, it is a bit stiffer than the competition. It is, I feel more agile. I can feel the road more. So depending on what you're looking for in a car, that can help or hurt the decision to go this way. But a very easy to drive vehicle, I think. And under just cruise control conditions, the engine tends to be pretty quiet. I'm right at, it's got to be like 1100 RPMs. So that is very impressive. Now, I do think that this can be an expensive option compared to other vehicles in the segment, but for what you get, I do think there's not a lot of competition there. I mean, I can't think of another V6 sedan off the top of my head. I mean, the Sonata is 4-cylinder and then 4-cylinder turbo. The Altima, I think can you still get a 3.5 with that? I haven't reviewed one this year, at least. I think that might still be an option, but the VC turbo is pretty much the top level there, or you can get the naturally aspirated 4-cylinder. And then the Malibu just having the 1.5 turbo 4. There's really not a lot of just normal everyday cars that have a V6, especially a strong V6 at that. So again, 32 miles per gallon on the highway, you're fuel efficient, but then if you want to put this in a sport mode, turn the paddle shifters on, you have something that's very capable in terms of acceleration. But overall, I like the cabin. I do feel like the screen is dated. Not my favorite thing about these, but I feel like the Camry's going to shut out the competition with 25. I haven't done that much research into that model year, but I mean, they have a good reputation. They have a very good looking car, and then to just take that to another level, I'm sure we're going to see an all new infotainment system. I don't know what technology they could bring to the table that isn't already great like this here, but we'll just have to see. But we're going to take it on the interstate, try to give it a pull here. So just light acceleration here. And I mean, just very strong. So I have the full safety suite activated now. And then we're gonna put it into eco mode and then just test out the driving system itself. So with the Toyota Safety Sense 2.5, again, lane tracing assistant, radar cruise control, blind spot monitors, just everything you could expect here. And just an on-demand manual shift system. So if I want to keep it at high RPMs to kind of give it throttle, even in this setting here in eco mode, I can. I'm going to put it back into auto mode. But honestly, the ride quality here is very good, and the vehicle itself is relatively quiet. Again, even with this being a sports sedan, having a V6 and all of that, it still is doing a fantastic job at being a good everyday driver's car. And you're supposed to hold the steering wheel while you're using this system, but I kind of know these cars inside and out, so I know kind of what these don't like, what they do like. Now on the interstate here, they tend to do a bit better just in terms of staying in the lines and what have you. But in the city, you can use it, but it's not going to be 100% accurate. It's not a full self-driving system, even a semi-autonomous system. Although a lot of the times it is used that way. But I think still a very impressive car, and I'm just excited to see what Toyota brings to the table for the 2025 model year. With that being said, this will bring me to the end of my review of this 2024 Toyota Camry XSE V6.